Hi, everyone. Good evening. Hello from the Philippines. I can definitely see you. And thank you so much for joining. It's wonderful to see all of you here. Okay, so it's great that you're telling me where you're from. So please continue to do that. Okay, hello. A lot of hi's coming in. Lovely to see all of you. Good evening to everyone. Okay, from Zambia. That's wonderful. Yes, please do tell me which countries are you from. That would be lovely. Good evening, everyone. So I'm from Delhi, India, and I work with Khaira Education. So we are one of the premium providers um, of OET, Asia's first, and we offer a lot of classes, so online plus offline, to all the countries, the students of all the countries. So it's really lovely to see everyone joining in. Okay, so we have people from Sri Lanka, India. I also saw, okay, England, hi. That's amazing. Myanmar. Of course, yes, I know Myanmar. We are neighbors. Yes, that's correct. Okay, from Kuwait as well. A big hi to you. South Africa, that's amazing. And Saudi, that's great. Zambia. So we have some students from South Africa as well. So it's lovely to see you joining as well. Wonderful. Can you all also tell me about your professions? How many of you are maybe doctors, nurses, pharmacists? It would be lovely to know that. Okay, Philippines, Pakistan, that's great. Kerala, India, that's amazing. Yes, so could you tell me which profession? Okay, quality nurse, nursing, that's great. Okay, nurses again, that's great. Wonderful. Okay, charge nurse. Yes, hi from England. Okay, we are being joined by a lot of nurses. That's amazing. From Punjab, hi. Okay, we have someone from medicine. That's great. Doctor, right? Nurse from Pakistan, and okay, wonderful. That's lovely. So yeah, a quick introduction again about myself. So I am Sanya, one of the trainers at Care Education, and I have been with Care Education for almost 3 years now, and it's been a wonderful journey to train people from all different healthcare professions, OET, and I particularly specialize in reading, so that's why I'm having a reading class with all of you. Yes, my name is Sanya. Uh, yeah, somebody requested to know my name. Okay, hi from Pakistan and Kuwait, Nepal. That's lovely. Uh, yeah, so you also have the details of the different pages from Instagram, Facebook, and you can take a screenshot if you like and definitely contact us in case of any queries or we post a lot of videos about tips and reels in which you can get some quick strategies about all the modules. So it would be great to have you join our audience. Hi, everyone. You're so lovely, all of you. Okay. So I think maybe we can start the class perhaps. So first of all, a big welcome. All of you are already giving me a very warm welcome. I'm happy to see that. Um, so this class is going to be about being time efficient in reading. Yeah. So I understand that a lot of you struggle a little bit with reading. So hopefully after today's class, that would become a little better for all of you. So I have a question for everyone. So how do you start your reading part A? So is it that you directly go to the questions? Is there a particular set of questions that you like to answer first? So could you tell me a little bit about that? The reading text, okay. Zafeda says she reads the text first, all right. First read questions, okay. Read the question, directly go to question and find the answer in the text, okay. Skimming for 2 minutes, okay. Sundari says no such strategy, but you got good marks, that's great. Okay, reading the text first, okay. Mandeep also says skimming, reading the text. All right. So a lot of strategies I am seeing. So instead of explaining to you that, okay, this is how all of you should do it, and then just expecting you to do it, no, that's not what I'm going to do. So everyone, I'm going to show you just how you can start your reading attempt of part A. And while I am doing that, I want you to notice and perhaps write down what exactly I'm going to do in those 2 minutes. Okay. So right now, I'm just going to show you what you have to do perhaps in the first few minutes. So keep typing, and I want you to really type whatever you notice it is that I'm doing. Okay. So I'm also going to set a timer on my phone, and you can also set a timer for 2 minutes. And let's see what I'm about to do. So please make a note of it, all right? Okay. Yeah, I hope all of you can see the screen. So here we go. Please note down the things that I'm about to do because I'm going to ask you about that later on. All right, here we go. Assessing a diabetic foot, clinical management, type, determined before care plan. Okay, neuropathic, ischemic, neuroischemic, sensation, necrosis, wound bed, pulses, location, prevalence. All right. Applying dressing, avoiding bandaging, tourniquet effect, secure bandage. Okay. So it's not just a procedure, it's also talking about the do's and don'ts, perhaps. So, okay. Ensure the wound space limited, conforms, footwear, dressing. Okay, cleansing again. Inspect the wound, different type needed. Okay, signs of deterioration, swelling. Okay, it's talking about some sort of signs and symptoms. All right, let's see. Okay, here it talks about debridement. First priority, prepare surface, tissue, foot pulses are absent, assessment, mandatory. Okay. Referral to somebody, all right. Sharp debridement carried out, practitioner, specialist training, again, patient in advance, debridement. Okay, I see a lot of specialists mentioned over here. Okay, important to debride, and then practitioners might explain to the patients, again, specialists or practitioners are mentioned. Okay. Dressing, advantages, disadvantages, low adherence, hydrocolloids, hydrogels, alginates, foams, iodine preparations, silver impregnated. Okay. All right. So I'm still left with about 7 seconds on the clock. So as I told all of you, I'm going to ask you, what is it that I did in these 2 minutes? A second again. Yes, so you can start commenting. What exactly did you notice that I was doing? Okay, skimming and underlining words. All right. Highlighting keywords. Okay. Keywords, headings. All right. Okay. Skimming and scanning. A lot of you are saying so good that you were okay. Marking the keywords. A lot of you are focusing on the keywords. Yes. Highlight keywords with skimming. Okay. Summary reading. All right. Scanning. Okay. Underlining important words, giving headings. Very good, Mona. Yes. Number. Okay. Yes, I did highlight some of that, didn't I? So a quick question for everyone. Do you think that I read each and everything in detail to understand the deeper meaning of everything? Did I do that? Yes or no? You can write in the chat. No. Yeah. So some of the answers are coming in. No. Yeah. So I didn't exactly do that. Yes, not at all. Yeah. So you're right. So what is it called? Or what exactly did I do here? Can you tell me in your own one or two words? Using short writing for headings. Yes, that's something I did. Skimming. Yes, a lot of you said that. Yeah, that is correct. Yeah, some of you are still answering. So skimming, highlight the words, making headings. Absolutely. So this is a very good way to spend the first 2 minutes of your reading paper. Yes, so now let's discuss in detail. All of you have already wonderfully noticed the things that I did. Now let's discuss them in a bit more detail. So skimming, that's what I did. So it's speed reading to get a general idea of all the four texts. So what all is involved in skimming? So the things that you should do. Number one, underline and encircle or highlight the information as you go. So I chose the word highlight because a lot of you might be giving computer-based exam. So for you, highlighting is definitely an option. And the ones who would be writing a pen and paper-based exam. So for you, it's possible. So you can do your underlining, you can encircle the words that you feel are pretty important. Yes. So that's the first thing to do. Read the first line of every paragraph to understand the main idea. So that is also something that you can do. Just so we are doing this to get a general idea, right? So for each of the text, this is something that we have to do. And a lot of you wrote in the chat, making your heading or writing some pointers. Yes. So creating headings or hints for yourself along the paragraph. So if you notice, I didn't do that for every paragraph, right? Or every text. So just the ones that did not have a heading, for them, I made a kind of a hint. So if you remember in one of the texts, when I was noticing that, okay, specialist is mentioned, special training is mentioned, practitioners is mentioned, then I thought, okay, so I don't think the main heading is covering everything. So I just made like a side heading of specialist so that if there's a question about it later on, I would know where exactly this information is likely to be found. Yeah. So one of you asked a very good question. How do I know what to highlight? Well, you have to see some of the words that might be repeated a little bit. So that's why I made that side heading also of specialist, because there was some sort of repetition going on. And at this point of time, you don't really know exactly what's important. So we are just skimming, and whatever word is catching our eye, that's what we are basically highlighting. So just to help ourselves, because later on, when there would be a question about something you already highlighted, so you have really helped yourself reach that answer quicker. Yeah. So this is something that you can do. And if you also remember in one of the texts, so I saw that there is a procedure of applying the dressing. But I also noticed that it's not just a procedure. They were also talking about avoiding something, ensuring something. So I wrote D&D, which doesn't mean do not disturb, do's and don'ts, because that's what I understood from it. So that brings me to another point. When I'm asking you to maybe create some headings, I don't mean waste a lot of time and make like full-fledged headings. No, just any maybe symbol. Like if you remember when I saw some signs and symptoms, I wrote SS over there, which means signs and symptoms because I understand what it means. So when you develop the habit to do skimming like this, you will also create your own shortcuts and shorthand writing in which you would be able to understand that what exactly is there in this text. Yeah, so this is another thing that's going to help you. And if you remember, there were two tables that I just saw. So in those tables, again, I did not look at everything. What did I look at? I looked at only the main topics of the row and of the column. So just whatever is written on the heading of the table, that's what I wrote. That's what I saw. And same for the headings of the column, because there would be a lot of content that would be included in the table. We don't have time to look at it. So right now, I just saw what kind of dressings are there. And okay, one column is talking about advantage, another one about disadvantage. So whenever I see a question, maybe about something negative or maybe a positive point about any of the dressing, then I would know which text to come to. So that's how you can do the skimming of the table as well. And what else do we need to remember? So what features are we noticing in the text? Headings, subheadings, and then there might be any words written in bold or italics. And also, a very neglected part of it is endnotes. So right now, the text that I showed you, there was not exactly any particular endnote given at the end of the table. Many times there is. So please focus on that. Most of the times there is a question from there. So whenever you read a table, do see it would be written in a slightly smaller font size, but don't miss out on it. Yeah, so that's pretty important. At this point, if you want to take a screenshot, you can, because these are some things that you can keep in mind when you attempt the next paper. So all the things that I told you, so how exactly does this help us? Let's try to understand that. So number one, that the strategy that I just told you, it is in sync with the format of the test because we are moving from general to particular. So if you see the format of the reading part A, you will see that first of all, there are some matching questions, which don't ask you anything particular. They first ask you in which text is this information there, right? Then you move on to more particular questions where they start asking you, okay, which type of fracture is it, etc., etc. A lot of students tell me that they like to start from question number 7. Well, I mean, whatever the second set is, there's a reason why it's not question number 1 and it's question number 7, because it's not supposed to be attempted first. So the best strategy over here, which works for majority of students, is to spend 2 minutes of time maximum. So when you get acquainted with the strategy, you might even do it in less time. But start by getting a general idea of what is there in each of the 4 texts. Then when you approach the questions, you will really be able to see that how much it's helping you figure out where the answer is already. Suppose if there is a question, if you directly go to the question, so what happens? Suppose if you're looking at question number 1, so immediately you will feel that, okay, now I must read all the 4 texts because I have to see what's there in each of the texts. If you have already done some skimming, it means that now, because you have some idea what's there in each of the texts, you will directly go to the text where the information is contained. So even if you feel like, okay, this information was there in 2 texts, 2 is still less than 4, right? So it will help you in that regard. So always attempt all the questions in order. It's very important. And then add this little step before you come to the questions. So yes, this is something that I already mentioned. It helps you locate the text more easily for the answers of all the questions that come later on. Okay, so right now what I have discussed with all of you are the first 5 minutes. So for 2 minutes, maximum being the keyword here, you have to skim the 4 texts for 2 minutes. After that, to try this, give 3 minutes to the matching questions. And I'm pretty sure that you would be able to get the answers more quickly than you were getting it earlier. Okay, now about matching questions, it's always very, very important that you underline the keywords in the question and then go to the text in which the answer is most likely to be found. Yeah, so that strategy remains valid for all the questions of part A. So when you do the skimming, then this will become very easy for you, the matching questions. Okay, so that's how the first 5 minutes of our test would be done. Initially, it might become a little hard. You might feel that, okay, 3 minutes is very little. But when you understand the importance of skimming, then you will realize that, no, it is perfectly manageable in 5 minutes. So now let's come to the next part. So we have done the matching questions. So now, how do we solve the next part, which is the short answer questions and the gap fill questions? So let's discuss some of the strategies which will be very effective So not just in getting the answers quickly, but also getting the answers correctly. Yes. So number one, as I already said, read the question and underline or highlight the keywords. That's very important. Second, so this is not that much discussed, but I really feel it's extremely important. Ask yourself, what information is the question asking me to find? Okay. So this is an important step. So not just underline the keyword. What information is the question asking me to find? Um, so let's have a look at how we can do that. So suppose these are the questions that are given. So right now, I don't want you to locate the answer. I want you to just tell me what kind of information will I have to find if this is the question that is being asked. So let's look at question number one. And now I welcome your answers. So if the question says, what kind of DFU is it if a patient has lost all sensation? Can you try guessing? What will I have to find in the text? So you can take any guesses? Okay, Karen says treatment. Nerves related. Okay. Sensation heading. Yes, that's where you will go. DFU. Yes. So particularly type. Yes, indeed. So when the question is asking what kind of DFU is it if a patient has lost all sensation, we are looking for a type or a kind of DFU. Yes, a lot of you got that right. That's absolutely correct. Yeah, so this is the ability I want all of you to develop. So not just underlining the keywords and then directly going to the text. No, this is a very important step that you have to ask yourself. Look at the second question, everyone. Here it says, whom do you need to involve in the patient's care if you cannot detect a pulse in the foot? Now tell me, what kind of information do we have to find in the text? Person, that particular person, whom to contact, yes. A specialist, perhaps, definitely. Physician. Good. Yes. So all of you are getting it correctly. So it could be a person. Sometimes it could also be an organization or a regulatory body. So sometimes whom do you have to contact? They could also say social services or something like that. But yes, you're getting the hang of it. All of you answered some sort of person. So that's very good. Yes, a person, organization, regulatory body. So our focus was on whom, right? Let's look at the third one now, everyone. Third question says, which part of the body should you leave free of tight bandages to maintain good blood flow? What information do you think we have to find here? Body part, okay. Treatment, all right. Specific part of the body, part of the body. Find out part of the body. Yes, absolutely correct. Or a body part. Yes, absolutely. Which part of the body? Right. Good. Yes. So this is very important. Let's look at one more question and then we'll discuss more about it. Everyone, the last question is for you. How long should you wait till the dressing is dry? What do we have to find? What information? Time limit. Time. Time or duration. Time period. So I can see all of you are really in the skimming and scanning mode. Your answers are coming up very quickly. I'm very happy to see that. Yes, time or duration, absolutely correct. So that is what we are trying to locate over here, time duration. Very good, everyone. So you see why this is important before you directly go to the text and try to understand, okay, where is the answer? I have seen many times that students say that, I found this condition as the answer. But if the question is asking you not the condition, but what has to be administered, so it means it probably is asking you about a test or maybe about a medication that has to be administered. So please include this step in your scanning questions. So ask yourself, what kind of information am I looking for? Now that will help you narrow down the answer even more. When you know, for example, for the fourth question, you understood so clearly that it's asking me about a time period. Immediately, you will go to that text which contains information about time duration. So again, you have saved your time over there. So this is the second step that we discussed. So we have to ask ourselves, what information is the question asking me to find? The next one is, of course, to go to the text where information is likely to be found. And after that, so the fourth one is very important. So when you narrow down an answer, when you've understood that, okay, this is the answer that I think is probably fit for the question, you have to find the words surrounding the answer and make sure that they're similar in meaning to all the keywords that you underlined in the question. This is something which I also like to refer to as the filter method. So let's understand this. Yeah. So suppose if you have highlighted like 4 keywords in the question, when you go to the text, so the paraphrases for all 4 words you should be able to locate in order to get to the right answer. Okay, so what is the filter method exactly? So I will take an analogy for this. I'm sure all of you at some point of time would have ordered something online from one of the websites. So whenever you want to find something, you don't just write that word in isolation. You also use some filters. Suppose, for example, if I want a jacket, it's getting colder now. So you don't write jacket. You maybe add the color, you add the range that, okay, I want it to be not too expensive. So just in this range, I want it. The color should be black and maybe this brand. So you've added so many filters and then you get the product of your choice. Yeah. It can't, so you cannot find the product of your choice if you just look at one thing. Okay, color. But then what if it's out of your budget? So a little bit of the similar thing happens in reading part A. So make sure that all the filters are in place and you are able to filter down your answer by making sure that all the paraphrases are mentioned. So let's look at an example. Suppose this is the question. So it says the dressing should follow the shape of the wound so that there is no. So I've highlighted some keywords over here. So dressing, follow, shape, wound, and there is no. So about 5 keywords are here. Now, let's look at the text. So now if I want to deduce an answer, so what is it that I'm going to do? So I'm going to look at the similar words over here. So for example, first I see dressing. Okay, dressing is something which is mentioned over here. And then it also mentions follow. So maybe conforms, that is one of the thing. And then it says shape. So contours and then of the wound. So yeah, contours of the wound bed, that's the same thing. And then it says there is no. Can you all maybe tell me what paraphrase can we find in the text for no? You've already started giving me the answer, but please tell me, what do you think is the paraphrase for no over here in the text? So there is no. Very good. Eliminate. Yes. So that is a paraphrase. There is no. So yes, we are left with this, which is dead space. And I see a lot of you already answered that. So that's brilliant. Locate all the keywords properly. So no, we will not include wound over here. That is something that's already mentioned in the question. So the dressing should follow the shape of the wound so that there is no dead space. Okay. Yeah, so that's how we can narrow down the answer. Please make sure that all the keywords are matching the paraphrases that are mentioned in the question. Okay, wonderful. A lot of you answered that correctly. So let's do one more activity then. So you have keywords in one column. You have paraphrases in the second column. What I want you to do is just see how the meaning is related to the keywords and maybe write in the chat your answer. So for example, for Mark, if you feel tell is a proper paraphrase, you can write 1C, 2B, 3A, like that. Could you all do this and mention that in the chat? Yeah, so not just the alphabets, you also have to tell me which alphabet for which keyword. 1D, okay. Okay, so I see a lot of you are saying 1D. Okay, then let's do that. What about the second one? Second is C. Okay. Ask or advice, that can be tell. Okay, right. What about, so 2C, yes, absolutely. What about the third one? Worsen. B. Okay. Let's get a couple more answers. Okay, yes. And then the fourth one, I think that's the first thing all of you said, and the fourth one, which is A. Yes, right. Yeah, so you see how we found the paraphrases for all the keywords? Please make sure that you're doing that in your papers as well. So let's try to apply this in one more question together. I think all of you really enjoyed this. I can still see some answers coming in. That's perfect. Okay, now a question for all of you. So the question is written below and the text is already highlighted for you. We have looked at some of these keywords already. So you have about a minute to tell me the answer for this question. Go ahead. Remember the paraphrases. A lot of you are answering already. Okay, a lot of answers have poured in. Most of you are saying cellulite or cellulitis. Make sure you write the word in the exact same manner. Yes, so that might affect your marks. Okay, so let's first locate the keywords and then let's see if you could deduce the right answer. So here it says draw a line around any something and ask the patient to get in touch if it worsens. Okay, now for draw, we already saw that there was a paraphrase mark and then it was saying around any. So, okay, extent of maybe. Ask the patient. So, tell, we had seen as a paraphrase for ask or advice. Tell the patient, get in touch. You all told me that it's contact. Yes, that's right. And then if it worsens. So, yes, worsens. How do we get that? If the redness moves substantially beyond the line. So, that is the paraphrase for worsens. So what do we have to draw a line around? So what does it say in the beginning? It is a good idea to mark the extent of any cellulitis. So cellulitis, that is your right answer. And great that a lot of you answered that correctly. So you can identify these kind of questions only and only if you match the keywords and the similar meaning words that are there in the paragraph. Because this is also a tough question, which many of you could answer applying this strategy. So please remember that, okay? And you can always remember the filter method for that. So yes, that brings us to the close of the fourth strategy. So when you narrow down the text and find the answer, make sure that all the words surrounding that answer are similar in meaning to all the keywords that you've underlined in the question. And then, very, very, very important, copy the answer in the exact same way and check if it is grammatically fitting. So I have seen so many times that this happens, that students lose marks because there might be any spelling mistake. So for example, if you're writing cellulite instead of cellulitis, unfortunately, you might not get marks. Yeah, so please copy paste it in the exact same way. And why have I specially mentioned about grammar? Because once you write your answer within the, especially the gap filling questions, so you can see whether it is grammatically fitting or not. So sometimes students say, well, you know what, if I modify this word a little bit, then it would be the right answer because then it will fit in. Use it for yourself. So this is a good strategy, that if you feel that I have to modify the word, that means that it will not be correct. That means I did not choose the right answer. So whenever you have this urge to modify, develop the urge to go back and select the right answer. Okay. So I do want to show you an example of this, why grammar matters. So let's have a look. If you see the text, which I think you might be seeing now on your screen. Yes. Here it says, doctor's instructions have to be followed by the patient. Otherwise, he or she cannot assess the patient and the tests can't be done either. And I want everyone to take a minute and see what the answer for this could be. A lot of you are saying, okay, you're saying your answers already. That's good. Test or tests, I'm hearing. Uh-huh. So now I have another question for you. The question was saying, see, yeah, so somebody said assessment. Assessment is not written there. So this is something that will help you understand it a little better. So here it says doctor's instructions have to be followed by the patient. Otherwise, so there are two things that will not be possible. So he or she cannot assess the patient and the tests can't be done either. The question says the dash cannot be done until the patient complies with the doctor's instructions. So if the patient doesn't comply, one, doctor cannot assess. Second, test can't be done. But if we try to put assess over here, it's not really matching. The assess cannot be done. No. Now you might have to modify it, assessment, but then that's not allowed. We cannot modify any word. Now that's an indication that you have not written the right answer. The only thing that does fit in is tests. So tests, that would be your right answer. Okay. I can see a lot of you wrote assessment, but please know we cannot modify the words. We have to write it in the exact same manner. And relook at your answers. If you've written test, that's wrong. Tests, plural. So each and every word becomes important because spelling mistakes will affect your marks. So this was just an example to show you that even though one question can have two possible answers, like in this one, so you have to make sure that it is grammatically fitting. So if you feel like I have to modify it in any way, then maybe you have to revisit your question and choose the answer again. Okay, so that's why grammar, that really does matter. All right, so let's have a look at the strategies. Okay, so all of you can look at these again, and you're free to ask any questions if you might have. And then I would finally tell you what the marking and the time would be that you have to spend on each and everything. So yeah, ask yourself what information is the question asking you to find, then go to the text. Fourth one we discussed already. Copy the answer in the exact same way. Check if it is grammatically fitting. Very, very important. Okay. So now this is the breakdown of time that we have discussed. So the first 5 minutes we discussed already. So 2 minutes for skimming and then 3 minutes for the matching questions. 5 minutes for short answer questions, and 5 minutes for gap fill. So that gives you a total of 15 minutes. So that is how we can effectively attempt part A. And there are many ways in which you can actually try doing skimming and scanning in your own time, not just pertaining to the OET tests. But if you pick up any magazine, look at the headings, look at some of the features, try to understand what could this article be about. Just read a few words and try to predict that. That's a very good exercise that you can do to develop the skills of skimming and scanning. And look at the index. So, sometimes we use index to find some sort of information. So that's where it comes in. So the headings, the usage of the heading to find some specific information. All these things are going to, help you brushing up your skills even more. So yes, that was all that I wanted to cover for today with all of you. I hope you enjoyed the session. And once again, I am Sanya from Khaira Education, and you have the contacts over here. You have the names of our handles, Instagram, Facebook, etc., and the number as well. So you can take a screenshot of this. I will take about 2 more minutes and just I would like to answer your questions that you're asking over here. So one of the students has asked me, by selecting headlines, in other words, help me matching questions and not in the last fill-up questions. No, so when you skim for the first 2 minutes, that's going to help you throughout the test because the topic remains the same. It's not changing. So even if you're answering the last few questions, so there also you have to go to the same text. So that's going to help you throughout because you're retaining all this information as you're answering questions more and more. And that brings me to one more thing that a lot of students sometimes ask, that sometimes I get so invested in a question that I lose a lot of time there. Suppose if I'm not getting an answer right, so I get stuck on it. So don't do that. About 35 to 40 seconds we can spend on a question, then you have to move on. Because maybe when you're skimming or scanning for other questions, you might come across the answer for that question. So hope is not lost. You can still find that answer. But I don't want that because of one question, you are completely missing out for the next 4 questions. Yes. So we have to really be practical while attempting this. Okay. So yes, that is it. Thank you so much. A lot of you are already wishing me a happy Christmas, a Merry Christmas to everyone. And yes, thank you everyone for joining. And I hope to see all of you soon in another one of these classes. I would love to have you on our social media as well, where you can look at the reels and get the tips that would help you clear OET. So all of us have just one dream, which is for you to clear the exam and go abroad. So yes, thank you everyone once again. And it was lovely to have all of you with us. Thank you. Bye everyone.